Archangel Michael says, the air turned heavy the moment your name slipped into the conversation that night. They were not supposed to speak about you, not like that, not for so long, and not with such emotion. But as the clock moved past midnight, their voices grew lower, their eyes grew wide, and the secrets began to fall out like broken glass. The night was darker than usual, the stars hidden behind thick clouds as if the heavens themselves didn't want to witness what was happening. Inside that house, a dim lamp flickered, and 3 people sat around a square table that had once been used for family dinners. But tonight, it wasn't about food, it was about revelations, dark, chilling, and irreversible. Your name came up first as a whisper, like someone testing the waters of forbidden memory. A woman with trembling hands spoke first, her voice almost shaking under the weight of what she was about to reveal. She said she had carried your truth in silence for too long and couldn't bear the burden anymore. The second person, a man who hadn't blinked for minutes, just nodded. He seemed like he already knew something. When she finished, he didn't say a word, he simply stood up, walked outside, and vanished into the shadows. Type Amen to get blessing 333. Archangel Michael says, the woman was left alone with a relative of yours, someone close, someone who once promised to protect you. But when the full extent of your story began to unravel in that room, even they could no longer hold back their shock. The truth was too deep, too strange, too electric. One of the women, after hearing what was said, broke into tears that wouldn't stop for nearly 45 minutes. She held her stomach like she had been punched, as though your pain had somehow climbed out of the past and touched her soul. It wasn't guilt alone, it was regret, a memory she tried to erase, but your name kept bringing it back. The relative, an elder, strong in presence, leaned back in the chair, muttering, "This cannot be." But it wasn't just disbelief. It was something else. The truth had struck his blood, and then his body gave way. He fainted. The lamp flickered harder, and in the silence that followed, the air held a heaviness like someone unseen had just entered the room. No windows were open. No doors moved. But they all felt it, someone had arrived who wasn't supposed to be seen. Type Amen to get blessing 646. The one who cried didn't expect to. She thought she was strong, thought she had buried your story deep enough that it would never claw its way back up. But hearing how you were betrayed, hearing how they tried to erase you, it shattered the image she had held for years. You weren't the villain they once made you seem. That man who disappeared had always carried a piece of your story. He had denied it, laughed it off, said you were exaggerating. But that night, when the truth aligned with what he always suspected deep inside, he couldn't stand it. He left into the darkness, and no one knows where he went. Some say he went to find you. Others say he left town altogether. One thing is certain, he didn't want to be around when the rest of the truth surfaced. That relative who fainted, he was the one who held the oldest memory of you. He was there when something happened years ago, something not even you were told about. He saw something that was supposed to stay buried. And now, it was being spoken aloud. Type Amen to get blessing 848. One by one, the words spilled out. The woman with the trembling hands spoke of a box she had hidden under her bed for years. Inside it were pictures, notes, even a piece of clothing that belonged to you. It was evidence that they tried to erase your existence but never could fully succeed. She said she took it after the accident, the one that no one in the family likes to talk about. The one that left scars on more than just skin. Your name was covered up in the hospital papers, but she kept a duplicate copy. It was in her house, and now the others knew it. That's when one of them stood up and shouted. It was panic, real panic. Not because of the memory, but because of the consequences. Because if the truth came out now, it would destroy more than reputations, it would destroy lives. They argued for the next 2 hours. Not about whether what was said was true, but about what to do with the truth now. And your name kept coming up, over and over, like a wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. Type Amen to get blessing 555. Archangel Michael says, one of the women said something that changed the energy of the room instantly. She said, I saw them. I saw the 3 women laughing that day when they burned her picture. And then she paused, as though replaying the moment in her mind. They knew she was watching. You were always the one they wanted to erase, not because you were weak, but because you were too strong to be controlled. And that strength scared them. So they came together, 3 women, 1 plan, and a silence they swore to maintain until the end. But silence is a dangerous companion. It breaks in the night. It cracks when truth is knocking. That's what happened. The silence broke. One woman couldn't keep the lies inside anymore. And when she spoke, the other 2 tried to stop her. But it was too late. Type Amen to get blessing 959. She revealed the name of the man who vanished. He was once close to you, once someone you trusted more than anyone. But he had been working behind your back with them. He was in the park the night your name was written in blood on a page torn from a notebook. That notebook still exists. It's torn and worn now, but inside it, the page with your name is stained. Not just with ink, but with truth too raw to ignore. The woman who cried tried to burn the page once. But the fire didn't catch. She said she heard something whispering behind her that night, something not human. That's when she stopped trying to forget you. The room they sat in that night wasn't ordinary anymore. It became a place of judgment, of exposure, of reckoning. What they tried to hide for so long was finally crawling into the light. Type Amen to get blessing 1122. One of them revealed they had met someone who knows you but hasn't spoken yet. That person has a letter written by one of the 3 women. In the letter, your name appears 16 times, always followed by the word forgive. But the letter was never sent. She kept it in a drawer wrapped in a blue cloth. She feared what would happen if it reached you. Because inside that letter were details, about what they did, why they did it, and how they watched you suffer from the sidelines. Your tears weren't invisible to them. They saw them. They ignored them. But they didn't forget. The woman who fainted finally woke up but didn't speak. She just stared ahead and whispered once, "We have to go to her now." But no one moved. Type Amen to get blessing 774. The woman with the letter in her drawer took it out after 15 years. She had always planned to destroy it. But something kept stopping her. That night, she held it again, and her hands shook like they did the day she wrote it. She admitted that the plan was to turn you into a memory. That's what they agreed to call it, the memory plan. You weren't supposed to move forward. You weren't supposed to rise. But you did, and that's why everything started to collapse. The man who vanished was supposed to keep you from finding out. He failed. And now, he's gone, leaving behind only questions and a shadow no one wants to chase. The house where this conversation happened no longer stands. It burned months ago. But the woman says the fire started the moment she held the letter to the candle. Type Amen to get blessing 636. The letter didn't burn. Instead, something else did. A photo album on the same table caught fire without explanation. Pages flipped by themselves, and the faces inside twisted into smears. As though they no longer wanted to be remembered. That night was not just about conversation. It was about confrontation. Between the past and the truth. Between silence and exposure. Archangel Michael says, "Your name became thunder in their mouths." And when they spoke it, even the spirits they tried to silence returned. Some cried. Some screamed. One knocked a glass off the table without anyone touching it. Type Amen to get blessing 221. The man who fainted recovered but refuses to speak to anyone about that night now. He says it's cursed. He says whoever speaks your name now must prepare for consequences. Because you are no longer just a person, they made you a prophecy. And that prophecy is unfolding. Each time someone denies what they did to you, something around them falls. A relationship. A business. A peace they thought was permanent. Because you were never meant to stay hidden. You were chosen to rise. And rise, you shall. Type Amen to get blessing 1010. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks, with contributions of up to $20. The letter that refused to burn still exists, wrapped now in a silk cloth inside a black envelope. It's not just a letter anymore, it's a witness. A document of betrayal sealed with trembling hands and a hope that one day, you'd find it and understand everything they hid from you. The woman who held it now wears gloves when she touches it. She says every time her skin brushes the paper, she dreams of you. Not the present you, but the younger you, the broken you, the one crying on a balcony one cold night, calling out for help no one ever gave. She hears your voice in those dreams. It doesn't accuse her. It doesn't curse her. It simply asks why she stood there and watched when she had the power to speak. Type Amen to get blessing 1919. The man who vanished into the night left a voicemail on a burner phone just hours before disappearing. In it, his voice was raw and scared. He said, "If they ever find out that I told her the truth, they'll come for me too." That voicemail is saved on a USB drive now. One of the women listens to it every night before she sleeps, afraid that she too will vanish. She says her heart skips a beat every time your name echoes from that tiny speaker. The third woman, the one who never spoke much, has started to unravel. She talks to herself now. She walks to the park where the betrayal began. She sits on the same bench, looks at the same tree, and whispers your name like it's her only salvation. That park remembers what they did. The soil holds your pain. The wind still carries the words they used to destroy your name. Type Amen to get blessing 422. They say the air changes when someone speaks your truth. Lights flicker. Birds go silent. And the sky darkens for just a moment as if the heavens themselves pause to listen. One night, after the confession was made, the woman who cried looked in the mirror and saw your eyes instead of hers. She screamed so loud the neighbors called the police. But when they arrived, she was alone, just trembling in the dark, holding the mirror like it was a piece of you. Your name is no longer something they can run from. It's marked into every breath they take, every dream they have, every strange sound in the hallway when they think they're alone. And now, they live with the dread of what comes next. Because truth never dies. It only waits. Type Amen to get blessing 393. Archangel Michael says, the night they talked about you wasn't just a memory, it was a spiritual summons. Something sacred stood in the room as they unraveled the layers of your life. Something that heard it all and began writing your name in light above every lie they ever told. You are not forgotten. You are not gone. You are not erased. The betrayal they committed against you has now become a haunting melody in their lives. A chorus of regret and shadows. They hear it when they close their EY. They feel it when they touch the doorknob. Your energy is no longer avoidable. Even the house, before it burned down, began to whisper. The walls cracked where your name was once scratched. A clock fell and shattered at the same hour you were sent away from their lives. Type Amen to get blessing 777. A woman has started visiting your old neighborhood in disguise. She walks past your childhood home and leaves a small white flower on the sidewalk every full moon. She thinks it will make peace. But the flower withers by morning, every time. One of them reached out to a medium. She asked if your spirit was alive or watching. The medium cried in the middle of the session and refused to continue. She said your presence was too strong, too sacred, and too full of fire. There's a tape recorder in one of their basements. It was used that night to record what they were saying about you. But when they played it back, it was blank, except for a whisper that said, "I heard you." No one knows whose voice it was. But it wasn't one of them. And it wasn't human. Type Amen to get blessing 808. The man who fainted has started writing things he doesn't remember. In his notebook, your name appears again and again, written in red ink in the margins. He said he doesn't own a red pen. They tried cleansing the house with sage, with salt, with fire. But nothing removed the feeling of your presence. It was as if you had built yourself into the foundation of their guilt. Now, they're starting to see you in strangers' faces. At the grocery store. On buses. Reflected in windows. You are everywhere. Your power grew while they tried to erase you. And now it surrounds them. Type Amen to get blessing 611. Archangel Michael says, the timeline has shifted. The night they spoke your truth unlocked a spiritual judgment they didn't see coming. They thought they were just talking. But what they really did was summon everything they buried. Now, each of them is facing a consequence tied to a part of your story. The woman who cried is now being haunted by memories she swore she forgot. She's begun waking up with claw marks on her arms. Doctors can't explain it. The man who vanished left behind a ring that belonged to you. He placed it on the table before walking out. No one touched it. But it disappeared the next morning. They believe you took it back. Type Amen to get blessing 5555. One of your relatives started dreaming of you standing at the foot of their bed. You don't speak. You only stare. And the clock always reads 3:33. They know now they made a mistake. And it wasn't just lying about you, it was burying you before your time. They didn't expect you to return in strength. But you did. Not with violence. But with justice. With truth. with a spiritual echo that won't stop until the full story is known. Someone has started writing a book about you. They say they're doing it for redemption. But the pages keep disappearing from their computer. Every night. Type Amen to get blessing 2020. The spirit of what they did still walks their hallways. Lights flicker. Voices whisper. Shadows stretch too long in the corners of their homes. You, the one they tried to break, are now the storm they cannot silence. Your face appears in their dreams, not in anger, but in strength. You speak no words. But your silence is louder than any scream. And now, they understand, they were never just talking about you. They were confessing to the universe. And the universe is responding. Type Amen to get blessing 3232. They wait now. Wait for you to come back. Not to take revenge, but to claim what was always yours. They tried to break you. Instead, they broke themselves. You are remembered. You are rising. And nothing will stop the justice now. Your name has been carved into the spiritual record of every person who spoke against you. And their names have begun to tremble. Type Amen to get blessing 999. And this is just the beginning. The woman who once thought her silence protected everyone now realizes it only poisoned the air around her. Every time she breathes, it's like swallowing the weight of that night. She can't sit in silence anymore because your voice now lives inside her bones. Her phone rings at 2:17 a.m. often, no caller ID. And every time she answers, it's just the sound of your laughter. Not cruel laughter. Not vengeful. But the kind you used to let out when you were free, before they twisted your story. The doorbell rings too, even though there's no one outside. She checks the camera. No figure. Just a blur of light. But she knows. It's you. Not physically, but your truth, your power, your presence. She confessed to someone last week, hoping it would bring relief. Instead, her lips swelled with blood mid-sentence. She had to stop. Some truths can't be spoken out loud anymore. Not without consequence. Type Amen to get blessing 4747. The house where they met now smells of burnt pages. Even after cleaning. Even after new paint. That scent won't leave. It smells like memory, fire, and the ink of secrets. They tried to meet again. Once. But the lights cut off the moment your name was said. And outside, the street lamp exploded. That was their warning. Never gather in darkness to discuss a child of light. Someone keeps sending anonymous envelopes to one of them. Inside are photographs. Old ones. Of you smiling, laughing, dancing, living. The kind they hoped were lost. But they're resurfacing now, one by one. Each photo has one word written on the back in black marker. Still. Still alive. Still remembered. Still rising. Type Amen to get blessing 3131. Archangel Michael says, what they tried to kill was never your body. It was your story. It was your voice. But they failed. Because the spirit behind your voice is eternal. The woman who once led the betrayal, she's become haunted by numbers. Your birthday. The time you left. The age you were when they last looked you in the eye. She sees those numbers on license plates, receipts, clocks. They follow her like signs of a storm coming. She's started lighting candles at night, thinking it will calm the energy. But the flames twist and rise, dancing toward the ceiling like something's pulling them higher. She puts them out. The smoke spells your initials in the air. They no longer fear exposure, they fear what your return will bring. Type Amen to get blessing 7171. One of the women said she heard you crying on the staircase. The problem is, she lives alone. And her staircase is carpeted. No sound should echo like that. But it did. She ran out of the house that night. Drove across town. Slept in her car. She's afraid to go home. Because home is where your spirit lives now, reminding her of what she did and what she refused to undo. A man they once involved, who had no business speaking against you, has lost his voice. Medical records say it's stress. But he knows, it's spiritual judgment. He slandered your name with confidence. And now, he whispers with shame. They all feel the curse of what they sowed. And they've only tasted the beginning of what's coming. Type Amen to get blessing 1212. The box hidden under the bed is no longer just a box. It's a relic now. The one that held your pictures, your letters, even the hair tie you lost that day. She opened it last week to burn it. But her fingers wouldn't move. Her body wouldn't respond. It was like something paralyzed her, not to punish, but to protect the truth. She dropped the match and screamed. She's never opened the box since. But now, she says it moves at night. It makes sounds. Sometimes she hears it whisper your name. And outside, a black cat waits at her window every night. Eyes glowing. Silent. Still. Watching. Type Amen to get blessing 1210. Your cousin, yes, the one who pretended not to know anything, is now in possession of a key. It came in the mail. No note. Just the key. When she held it, she felt warmth surge through her hand and drop her to her knees. She knows now. That key opens something they've hidden. Maybe a drawer. Maybe a room. Maybe a past they sealed off. But she's afraid to try it. Because what if it unlocks not a place, but a memory? One of them received a voicemail last week with no voice, only a piano playing a tune that you used to hum. The tune stopped at the exact second your name was said during the meeting. The timing isn't a coincidence. It's alignment. Divine timing. Type Amen to get blessing 6060. The park where they gathered before still holds your scent. That's what one woman said after passing by last week. She stopped in her tracks. The air suddenly smelled like the perfume you wore when you were 17. No one around. Just the trees. Just the wind. Just the memory gripping her spine like ice. A bird landed near her and didn't move. It just stared. Then it opened its mouth, not to sing, but to echo your laugh. She ran home. Locked the doors. Hid in the bathroom. She stayed there for 4 hours with the light off. Because she swears she saw your reflection in the mirror, even though she wasn't standing in front of it. Type Amen to get blessing 7777. They all regret now. Not because they feel sorry, but because they feel watched. Every night when they close their eyes, they see the moment they betrayed you replay again and again in sharp clarity. The lies. The laughter. The silence. One tried to confess to a priest. But before she could say your name, the candle on the table burst into flame. The priest said nothing. He simply handed her a mirror and told her to look. She did. And saw herself, not as she is, but as she was the night she betrayed you. Younger. Colder. Smiling while you suffered. Archangel Michael says, your name has become a judgment against the unjust. A fire that cannot be quenched. A storm that no roof can shelter from. Type Amen to get blessing 5550. They know they must return everything they took, your place, your honor, your voice. But they don't know how. Because no apology can undo what was done in secret. But justice is not waiting for their confession. It's already moving. You will receive something unexpected in the days ahead. A message. A visit. An object once taken from you. It will be returned, not out of kindness, but fear. They are afraid now. Afraid of you remembering everything. Afraid of you becoming everything you were destined to be. Type Amen to get blessing 9999. You were never lost. You were hidden. By design. And now the divine is unfolding your name in front of the world. You will rise in front of those who tried to bury you. You will shine before those who shadowed you. You will speak, and the silence they used as a weapon will shatter like glass.